So good morning. Good morning, everyone. Please take a coffee, have a seat, and welcome to this session. We'll present a project. I think is a very nice project, and I hope you will enjoy, and there will be some discussion. This is the panel of the presenters and of the topics. My name is Carmelo Rizzari. I'm pediatric hemato-oncologist working in Monza, Italy. I'm the president of Siop Europe. And we will have people, they will display and explain what has been their contribution to this nice project. I have to congratulate with all the people working on this. And I think that the people attending this session are so many. There are still people on the line. So I think that we can get started. What is the Polaris project? Polaris is coming obviously from the star which drives the sailors. And the idea was to build something that could drive patients and parents throughout the difficult journey of a patient with a new diagnosis of acute lymphoblastic leukemia. This is a specific project for acute lymphoblastic leukemia. The acronym was intended to mean patient, parent, caregiver communication tools to clarify leukemia treatment and provide relevant information to support recovery, which is quite long, and it's sometimes difficult for me to understand where the acronym comes from, which letters, but nevertheless, this is the attempt to explain briefly the Polaris acronym. So why do we need this Polaris project? As I said, through different phases of treatment, the journey feels like a roller coaster. Learning that your child has ALL is devastating, petrifying. We all know in our words how difficult it can be from the side of the professionals to the parents, to the patients, to explain at a certain point of your life, someone with a white coat will tell you your kid has a leukemia or your kid has cancer. And the information we get thereafter from the parents is there was too many information. I did not understand most of them, at least at the beginning. So we think that the clear and simple communications with patients and caregivers is needed. Everyone is trying to improve. We tried to make a tool that could help professionals, parents, and patients to go through this journey. Communication, I don't have to tell you how much important is communication. Communication is a fundamental clinical skill. Clinical skill is not just a matter of psychology or, a wording. It's a clinical skill to establish a relationship with the patient and their family. And sometimes we are busy, there is no time, but we want to have this done in the best way possible. The communication paves the way anyway to a successful diagnosis, treatment, cure, and sometimes also when a cure is not possible. We hope to achieve improved communication between the medical team, the child, adolescent, young adult with leukemia, as well as their caregivers, to support the adherence to therapy by making the treatment schedule easy to follow for individuals who are not familiar with medical terminology, to foster a better understanding of the different medical procedures among patients. Procedures means bone marrow aspiration, lumbar puncture, central venous line, randomization, to instill a sense of security that stems from understanding the situation and treatment, the creation of a coherent and uniform look and feel with visual. We are in the era of visual. We have smartphones, we have screens everywhere. The communication is very often not verbal, but is sometimes also visual. So we wanted to improve all this. Maybe this is ambitious, but I think that we have up to now realized a good start, and we are proud today, together with the parents of CCI Europe and with our professionals who have collaborated that to present the results. Obviously, Polaris is not the result of a single person effort. It's a partnership project to develop a set of communications, printed and digital, that the ALL medical and extended care team can use to explain ALL treatment protocols, medical terminology, investigations, and results, and to provide support throughout the treatment journey. To patients, caregivers in an easy to understand visual language. And on the right-hand side of the slide, you may see the first flower of the sketches of the cartoons we are producing. So I will ask now my colleagues to start their presentation. Zohar Shalef, she will introduce herself, and Gil Gilad. They come from Israel. They started, let's say, a pilot project in that country. Was very successful. We had the opportunity to have a look at that and how successful was that. So we thought that could have been nice to expand to the whole Europe, at the present time, the whole Europe. So Gil and Zohar, please, come along. You have it on the screen now.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry for that. So, hello, my name is Zohar Shalev. I'm a mother to a cured child and a designer. I specialize in wayfinding design and data visualization. My project to illustrate and design the leukemia protocol for the use by parents and children and the medical team started after my daughter recovered. I developed and designed it for about a year before I presented it to the medical team at Schneider Children Medical Center of Israel. I received their support with the help of Dr. Gilad as the medical and development advisor.
When Zohar, a mother of one of my patients, presented her project, I recruited to her for further development. Since 2017, the illustrated maps are given to all lymphoblastic leukemia and lymphoblastic lymphoma patients in our department. We are privileged to present this project to you. We'll start at the very beginning.
Do you remember the time before Waze, before GPS, navigating your way in an unfamiliar surrounding where you don't speak the language?
Can you imagine having to do so from inside a tornado that is threatening to take your child, your family, yourself, and everything you have in life? When a child is diagnosed with cancer, we start a mutual journey. The child, his family, and the medical team. We all need to communicate, but the language we speak, our terminology, are unfamiliar to our patients and their families. Quite often we hear from parents about their feeling and state of mind at the time of diagnosis. Big efforts are needed to start this complicated journey.
This is how I felt the moment I was told my daughter Hadass was diagnosed with leukemia. I was thrown into the rabbit hole, fear force lifting my stomach to my throat, and all the strange words the doctor mentioned to me were whirling around me while I was falling down to this new, life-threatening, unknown world. And at that point, parents are required to deal with the treatment protocol, which is presented to them orally, and with pages written in purely medical terminology and layout.
We, the doctors and medical teams, are doing our best to explain the situation and treatment protocol in a constellation which is highly challenging. We quite often find ourselves looking at the familiar faces of shocked parents, trying to understand while at a state of an emotional hurricane, disoriented, mentally paralyzed from terror. This state of shock continues at least for the first week and sometimes much, much longer. Parents very often claim that it's too complicated to understand and too much to ask in their situation.
The design process usually begins with identifying a need. The need to better understand the protocol was obvious to me and to families I've met from the cancer community. We wanted to get out from this shocked fish state we were at, to regain back the sense of control which was taken away from us. And it was also very clear that there is nowhere around us, because as from now on, the protocol is our day-by-day reality. So we had our tricks. We gave medications that are hard to pronounce and remember new names. So for Pegas parginas, we called asparagus. The veterans' parents were always there for any questions, and the medical team was always there for any questions, but it took too much time to get confidence because we didn't have a tool or a method to teach us. I also noticed the importance of explaining my daughter as much as possible and as much as I could to help her feel that she is a part of her recovery and not that things are happening to her. After she recovered, I wish to fulfill that need. As a designer for public transportation information, I knew all about the effective and calming nature of visually presenting pass information to passengers on their journey, whether it is their train journey or, as I realized, the journey to treat cancer. So I started this project wearing two hats, the professional and the personal. Let me take you through the process of designing the protocol. Most parents get a page like this to explain their child's treatment pathway. I'll use this one as an example. I came up with the idea of simplifying the protocol for the parents by illustration, extracting from that page only the relevant information to them. The trajectory, showing the process with its significant days of treatment and procedures, the medication names and medications taken at home, but not the dosage, for example. It took a lot of sketching and checking continuously with focus groups for their feedbacks to design this visual language, understood by children and parents, and therefore easier for the medical team to explain, so they can all follow it visually together, while being faithful to the original protocol medical information and structure. Let me zoom in for the details. This is a cutout from the green pass, which you just saw. It's called 1A, and a cutout from the purple pass, which is called Console A. Each pass illustrates a different phase of the protocol, thus has its own color, because in the visual language, we use colors and icons to specify and differentiate. Later in the journey, when a pass with the same color reappears, the similarity will be obvious. So, for example, 2A and 3A will also have this green color, since they share the same protocol elements and side effects. The icons provide a positive outlook for the children and their parents. The moon and star distinguish between in- and outpatient treatments, and even a young child can grasp the difference. The colors clearly indicate different drugs. So, for example, pegasparginase will always be purple throughout the whole treatment and illustrations. These icons symbolize procedures done under sedation, such as bone marrow evaluation and intrathecal. I emphasize the tilted bed, since I still remember my daughter asking me anxiously before she knew she was going to have a procedure, whether it's going to be on the upside bed or not. This distinguish can also help the parents prepare to ease the discomfort of the child by preparing movies in the iPad and preparing food for the post-fasting child that won't spill while he's lying upside down. The memos, like fasting, they like in daily routine, used to remind the parents their responsibilities. We have more for cardio evaluation, etc. The parents are required for to have responsibility for the medications that are taken at home. So we have road signs that are located at specific days, reminding when to start or stop a certain home medication. So here you can see start the 6MP and stop PCP prophylaxis, etc. The child is guided by and can identify with a figure experiencing the same chemotherapy changes. At the end of each treatment phase, the character receives a medal and congratulations. A comfortable and user-friendly table into which the parents can fill in the dosage and the hours as guided by the medical team. The table contains phases of the sun and moon, so the administration times can be also recognized by the young children. I remember the first time I came home after the diagnosis, and I wasn't sure I was capable of taking care of my daughter medically, although I thought I understood everything the nurse told me. When I got home and I looked at this table, I was blocked, and I couldn't remember anything. I had to call her. In Zoom Out, the layout is as a board game with positive child's look and feel. It is also inspired from train line diagrams and roadmaps, so it will be intuitive and easily used. In addition to the pass elements and the home indication I've just mentioned, we have doctor guidelines for each phase with the color of the corresponding phase at the background. For example, regarding steroid administration, the stomach and face will swallow, and you will feel a bit tired, so don't worry, just for a short period of time, and soon everything will come back to normal.
At the beginning of each phase, we open the protocol illustrated map on the desk as a board game, so the child and the parents can follow the path and instructions. All the important information is organized in one page. The patient and the parents usually request few copies to hang at home and carry along. Quite often they use it to explain the protocol to other family members. In the following visit, we usually open the map and look together at the progress. We are happy with what we have accomplished and is behind us, and look forward to what's ahead. On the other side, we have important information regarding the treatment. A table to ensure completion of chemotherapy pills dosage total, a detailed table for tapering down steroids, and general information on each oral medication to increase awareness and decrease human errors. A personal invitation from the character offering to guide hand in hand on the route to recovery, coming from the heart of someone who has been there, experienced it all. Followed by the character's story from diagnosis until 2 years later. Both elements form identification and provides hope. Hygiene instructions, also written specifically for the kids. Common side effects, written in a simple and benign language. A special part is dedicated for the important parameters of the blood count, their meaning, and when to anticipate blood or platelet transfusions. The project was originated while using the IOP-BFM ALL 2009 protocol. When Zohar first came to me with the illustration, I realized that in order to simplify the information, we need to expose each patient only to his or her specific paths to recovery, not to confuse between between standard and medium risk and high risk patient, okay? Thus, the treatment plan was divided to 3 maps. Following the protocol's logic, all patient receives the first map, illustrating the first 2 months of treatment. And only when their ALL subgroup is known, they will receive their second map accordingly. While preparing for 2017 protocol, we already had 2 years of successful experience with the maps as a tool in our department, enjoying great feedback, received routinely and from a questionnaire distributed among parents and staff. As you can read on screen, the parents admired the idea of the map, which gave them sense of both partnership and confidence, reduced mistakes, and helped to see the light at the end of the tunnel. The impression of the medical team was similar, highlighting the project's significance, the helps it provides, and the improvement in communication. The current protocol aims to deliver a more accurate and specific treatment to each patient. From a bird's eye view, it seems much more complicated, with more ramifications due to several randomizations, with different induction for B and TALL. But it shouldn't be complicated for the children and their parents. The need and challenge to explain and present it in a simpler and more accessible way was greater, both for them and, not less important, to our medical teams. I believed we achieved the above with our tool, which allows us to give each patient the relevant visualization of his or her path to recovery.
These are two examples of visualizing the ramification. So the character is guiding the patient with signs to the child's specific treatment path.
The illustrated protocol map is a great tool to explain randomization and its consequences. As seen here with one of my patients facing early high-risk randomization. The map on the table enables involvement of the patient and his mother and evokes focused, conversation between us.
The benefits for the child and parents are to give a sense of partnership and responsibility, to provide a more secure and comforting feeling and comprehension of the whole protocol, which helps planning ahead.
It helps to explain the protocol and the treatment plan. It is easier to treat patients who understand, and of course can reduce human errors.
I presented this project at Siop conference in Lyon 2019. I finished the presentation with this slide, hoping this vision will come true. There I met CCI and CCI Europe and Servier. And I'm glad to share with you that this is all happening now as Siop E project with CCI Europe. And we are grateful for Servier for supporting us so wholeheartedly to make this a reality. We are working with professionals on implementation for Europe. We aim worldwide. We are translating the IOBFM ALL protocol to more languages with the ALIC protocol and more protocols to come. We are developing in-clinic boards and the website to host all information needed for the children and their families.
I believe that our illustrated protocol maps are a great tool, allowing better communication, which enables better comprehension, better cooperation, it's too slow, better compliance, better care, and eventually and hopefully better cure.
This is a good opportunity to express my gratitude and thank all of you for your contribution and work to heal children who are ill, my daughter included, who wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think this presentation, especially when the doctor and the mother are on the stage and talk together, give the flavor, the sensation that this is a teamwork, and the collaboration can give even fruitful effects for other people, for other patients, for other parents. I wanted to tell you that you may pose questions in your app. I don't know, honestly speaking, technologically how this works, but they told me that there is a tool to pose questions, but at the end of these presentations, we will have a short time, hopefully, because we started a little bit late, where there will be additional people and maybe the time to pose questions to the for the whole project to the people. So now we have Lisa. Obviously, this is an important tool, but where the psychological aspects are very important. So Lisa Weiler works in Vienna and a psychologist. Maybe I don't say anything wrong, but Lisa will tell us what is her view and her contribution to this project. Lisa, please. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the kind introduction, and I must say, as you just showed the slide from Lyon 2019, I feel very honored to be part of this session today because as a psychologist, we were very, very fond of this project because we always said this is actually what we're looking for to explain the protocols to our patients. So thank you for the possibility to say a few words of the psychosocial aspects considering simplified maps. Actually, what I would like to start off, I think it's a little bit of a paradoxon, if I may say so, talking about simplified maps, because if we look in the background of simplified maps, it's a lot of complexity, so that simplified maps really work out. We need to take into account a lot of aspects so that we really can be sure that we're communicating about the same things, and that what we want to tell patients, that we really reach what we want to say. So there are actually a few models, or rather very many models, that describe very well the recovery of subjective health and well-being with and after an oncological disease. And as of course, we always have to start off thinking about communication. who are we talking to? So who is the person, who is the child, the family sitting in front of us with all its personality, its needs, its abilities, and therefore I think we always have, as healthcare professionals, a real big responsibility to take all this into account so that we can communicate well together and process together. But of course, from a psychosocial point of view, we also know about, due to literature, about stressors, about what will happen during the treatment phase, during because of diagnosis, because of treatment. I don't have to go into detail there because we all know about that. We also know that we have a wide heterogeneity because of working in pediatrics. We have very small children. We have young adults and adolescents, to put it right. And of course, we also know not just because about the stressors. We also know about the resources. So putting this all together, mixing it up, we have methods to talk about it. And I sometimes think it's still a little bit a black box, but I would like to have a look inside there, because also thinking about this wonderful project, this is a possibility to open that black box and see how this works, because actually what we want to do, if we communicate, we want to make patients experts of their own health, of their disease. So we're talking about health literacy, we're talking about fostering resilience. So I want to start a little bit with the goal, health literacy, why and what are the aims if we communicate well and if we use the right age-appropriate tools. It's of course also about giving control, working on control beliefs so that we have, that the child and the family can also, we help them with decision making, with processing, with the situation. It's also about experiencing self-efficacy. It's about the high locus of control related to a higher quality of life. We want to reduce anxiety, lower pain. So we know from literature that good communication can be really linked to these aspects. So what we need, and this is a wonderful project to do so, is everyday practical knowledge and skills in dealing with health and illnesses. As I already said, to empower our children to be experts of their own health and disease. So giving orientation, a roadmap. So communication is actually all about giving signposts. And I always think if we talk about, because we know this is something that is very difficult to find the right words, talking about really difficult difficult questions, very sincere diagnosis. And I think we're pretty good in that we tell our children, for example, there's a street, cars are coming, and you have to stop there. And it, so daily things, we prepare our children for what can happen so that we prevent them for maybe even worsening up, thinking about psychosocial aspects, anxiety, feeling more pain, post-traumatic stress disorders and more. So it's our job as adults to prepare our children for what is coming next. Of course, as I already pointed out, we have this wide heterogeneity in the pediatrics, but how can simplified tools work? Even with very, very young children, because of course we don't just have the young children, we have the family, and giving the also the parents a good orientation. We already heard, it gives self-confidence, it gives security of knowing what will happen, and this also reflects to the child's well-being. Especially the group of the pre-operational phase and the concrete operational phase, and I refer there to the well-known Piaget, who really pointed out very well that this is an age where we need concrete models so that that children understand what we're talking about. So I wouldn't even say it's a new language, it's the language we have to talk if we talk to children in that age. And of course, also talking about young adults, also there, simplified maps can really help in, for example, the aspect of supporting them in their independence in during their treatment and in daily life. So I think we have a lot of possibilities of using simplified models in a specific way, in different methods, all across the age range we're working with. So actually, I want to say just a few words of guiding principles, and I think we could do a whole conference on this. So I will rush through that very, very quickly. But I think it's very important. These are things we actually all know, but it's important if we talk to patients, it's our responsibility to always keep this in mind. So talking at an eye level, involve asking, what do you actually really want to know? Let me be part of your world. I'm really interested in what you want to tell me. Appreciate what patients tell us. Respect emotions and really listen closely. And simplified maps can help. They're very good because talking the same language and giving a possibility of what can I actually ask? As a psychologist, I often have the question from patients, if they go to a talk, what do others ask, and what are main questions? So in the beginning, so this can really help, so that we can support in the empowerment of to ask the right questions and get the answers you need. Of course, as healthcare professionals, we have to be sincere and open-minded. And we need space and time. I know very well that this is always a difficulty in clinical routine, but I think we have possibilities of widening up the space and time we have, because this is just the importance we need. And with simplified tools, it helps us that we have the time, because we are focused on specific topics to take into account. As already said, and we heard in this wonderful talk before, we have to adjust the language to the people and to especially the children we're talking to, and need special tools. And also making a plan. So we have a lot of aspects actually to take into account, and therefore I think we're really having a kind of an artistic work to do to bringing all of these aspects into account. This is just a short overview of how we talk to children about explaining cancer treatment and beyond. So talking is not just in words; it's also it's nonverbal. It has to have the right methods of playing games. It was already pointed out that there are different models also on the website. It's talking, it's explaining, it's showing films, and more. And I'm looking at the time, I'm running out of time a little bit. As I said, we can talk a lot about communication on this. And I would just come to an end here. So what we saw very nicely in this film, it's about sitting together on, I would like to take the round table, because it should be at an eye level, taking into account the medical aspects, explaining what will happen, the nursing aspect, and of course also psychosocial contribution, and last but not least, and very important on a same level, also taking into account the patient's perspective, bringing all these perspectives together and a tool as this can bring us together closer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. I saw obviously the words integration, interrelationship. So we in pediatric oncology we have understood and learned since ever that this is the key for the success. Now we will go on, and this will be the last part where there will be also a video to be shown to give you a flavor of what is the final output of this project, because from that version of the project. And now we have done a lot of work, so I will show you that a few slides, and then we will have time to discuss. Again, this is a partnership where Siop Europe owns the project, coordinates, and has the medical oversight. Childhood Cancer International, our parents' association, is providing a great patient input. The perspective of the parents, the perspective of the patients is always very important, just to understand if we are doing well or not. Special family needs, we are not the same everywhere. In the same country, from the north to the south, to the east to the west, different languages, different needs, and obviously to support the integration. Again, these words come, interrelation, integration, this is important. Then we have to thank Zomo and Syneos, because these are two companies made of professionals in the video language and the video communication and the visual communication. And I can tell you that from the sketch to the video to the slides, they are really professionals and have helped a lot. And obviously, the company, Serviera, which has supported this with an unrestricted grant, and this has allowed the people to work quickly, to work efficiently, and to provide what you will see in a moment. So this is how this worked together to ensure Polaris runs on time and on quality. There is an advisory committee made of several professionals meeting every 4 to 6 months, just to guide and to overview and to oversee everything which is done. There are 4 working groups made of different people. Working group 1 for the protocol IOP BFM, protocol working group 2 for the altogether protocol, working group 3 for the ALIC protocol. You may easily understand that these 3 protocols cover not only the European scenario, but also beyond, because the ALIC is clearly a protocol which goes beyond the European borders. Now, the working group 4 is mainly focused on website and protocol-related information. What can be said, what has to be said for the lumbar puncture, central venous line, randomization procedures. This meets every 2 months, but we have met even more frequently. And then there is a project progress review committee every 2 weeks, which monitors the advances of the study, of the project. More than 50 professionals have been involved in this, and you may here see the list of their skills, numerous meetings and countless hours of behind-the-scene work, based on the following 3 very simple principles. We want to make the things simple, free, usable, simple, positive, and culturally neutral, obviously. So Polaris has come to fruition now, so we will say this is what is now in the IOP BFM protocol. So the boards are ready. The website is under construction. There are obviously already some videos, and you may see here the induction, for example, for B-cell leukemia is magnified and is reproducing what was the original, but with some addition and with some modifications to adapt to the current situation. The same is for the ALIC protocol, and again, this is for to say that also for the ALIC protocol, this has been finalized, and obviously also for the altogether protocol, work is ongoing. The roadmaps have been digitalized to extend the in-clinic support to the website. So there will be a website, there will be roadmaps on the boards, on clinical boards. There will be material to be shown and to be given to the parents. So there are in-clinic boards and the website. When one accesses to the website, there is a kid part, and there is also an adolescent part. And if we go, for example, here, you may see that this is the first let's say, slide or the first picture, the first sketch you may see. So the child, my name is Lily, I had leukemia a few years. So this is bringing the new patient throughout the first steps of the journey. And this is a story. This is a cartoon, but this for the patient represents the real life of someone who went already through this journey. And this relieves. This gives a sense that this can be done. I can be cured. And the story is a story of a normal family, of a normal child going through the journey. Then the protocol and the different balloons. In the website, you can click on the different balloons and to understand what does it mean to be confident, to have fun, to be patient, to take a deep breath. Encouraging people, encouraging patients and parents is important to cope with the difficulties of the protocol. And you may see here the details. And at a certain point, there is the beginning. Protocol 1A is the start of the treatment. The beginning, you may see here, the start means remember to fast because you have to get a procedure. You have to stay in the hospital, in the outpatient or the inpatient. And start the prednisone, and all the steps of the treatment are clearly but easily illustrated. Then you may see on the right side the kids version, the map. So you may go to the map, and for example, you may see that the child is progressing throughout the treatment, throughout the phase of treatment. There is the vincristine and daunorubicin, so there start the chemotherapy treatment. That there is the possibility at a certain point to have information on the left side about the induction phase as a whole and the medications. So there will be information on how to take them, when to take them, which side effects. And this is the 1A, so the induction phase with the different, we will not get into the details, obviously. But this is what a child and a parent will have in their hands or on the website to follow their treatment. Obviously, there will be steps. This is the bone marrow aspiration, and when the bone marrow aspiration is, you will click on the bone marrow and you will see how bone marrow aspiration is done. And when you click on what is leukemia, what is bone marrow evaluation, you may have the visualization of what's going on. And you will see this.
This is a cell. Cells are so tiny, you cannot even see them with your eyes. But what are they? Cells are the basic building blocks of all living things. In fact, you are made of them. Trillions of them, and that is a huge number. Thanks to them, you can play and learn. Your nose is made of cells. Your mouth is made of cells. Even your blood is made of them. In fact, there are 3 types of blood cells: red blood cells, platelets, and white blood cells. What do these blood cells do? The red ones give us energy. Platelets help to stop bleeding if we cut ourselves, for example. And white blood cells help us fight infection and protect us from being sick. Where do blood cells come from? Blood cells are made by a spongy part of our bone that is called the bone marrow. It is basically a factory that works all day, every day. Sometimes there are problems at the factory. And sometimes that problem is leukemia. and the factory starts making white blood cells that cannot do their work they're supposed to do. These cells are called leukemic cells or blasts. They can make you feel sick, tired, and weak. Fortunately, together with your care team, you can do something about it. Lots of special people are part of your care team. Doctors, nurses, psychologists, therapists, and even teachers. Your family is part of the care team too. They will all be at your side every step of the way, supporting you and helping you take the treatment you need to make your bone marrow go back to doing its job properly, so that you can feel better again, go to school more, and play with your friends more.
So this is one of the videos that will be available in the website and available for children, for parents to better understand with a visual language which is easily understandable. I think that a child looking at this will have a better idea what's going on. So the coming soon, so where are we now after this period of work? We have the English version ready, and this, for your information, this is a protocol, this is something that will be translated in each single language where the countries will adopt the different protocols. And the dissemination to European countries will be done in 2023. Now, I think that we have concluded the visual part of this session, and I think that was well represented and well presented by Zohar, by Gil, and by Lisa. I think that there will be questions, and if there are questions, you can pose directly through the microphones or through the system. And I will ask also two of the people who have contributed, who's Teodora Armenkova, who is a parent, and Julia Ruiz, yeah, who's a nurse. Be careful.
We play a game with the...
Excellent. Okay, so we have also time because I was told that since we started late, we can go late as well. So there is time to pose some questions. So let's say that maybe you can introduce yourself, Teodora.
Hello, my name is Teodora Armenkova. I'm from Bulgaria. I'm a patient advocate and work in the hospital in Sofia.
Sofia. And please, Julia.
Hello, I'm Julia Ruiz. I am a nurse, and I work in Niño Jesús Children's Hospital from Madrid.
Well, so we have already some questions from the floor, but first of all, I would like to ask Teodora and Julia what is their impression of this project? What is the advantage to have this tool, in your opinion, representing a category, let's say, of people interested to this?
Yes. I have to say that the first time I saw the project, I was so excited and say I'd never seen something like this before, because you all know that parents and medical staff should be partners at the first day of the diagnosis, and unfortunately they're not in the same page because they don't speak the same language. And now we see the two that suddenly magically become on the round table. We start to talk in the same languages, and we start to understand parents and even child understand what happened and what is going to happen, because you know the parent, when you heard the diagnosis, you're really paralyzed of terror. You can't think, you can't understand, you just think that my child is going to die. And but in this very moment you don't have time, because you should start to be a partner in the process, in the name of your child to be cured. So it's really to have these two. It's the beginning. Well, we are in the same boat and waves wash over us, but it is the beginning to start the journey. And I think that one of the most important thing is that if you don't really understand, and at the first conversation you have these two as a parent, and you can ask your question and read it, and you start to understand a lot of things.
Thank you. Let's listen to Julia, then nurse's point of view.
First of all, it was a pleasure being a small part of contributing to this project, because I think it's really beautiful. And yes, as nurses, well, you all know we are 24/7 beside patients and family. And so we know you come back to ask us at 3 in the morning or at any time when you need some explanation, patients and families. So I find that this is a really good tool to help us all to follow together. That's the main and the most important thing that I find, and it's really adjusted to the language and to the reality. I mean, we're talking about the same language, but adjusted to comprehensive for everyone. So I think this is really a useful tool for all of us. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your comment. There are several. Yeah, please. Introduce yourself, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Anna. I'm a fellow of pediatric oncology and hematology from Armenia. Thank you for amazing presentation. Thank you for amazing idea and project. It is really useful for us. I think that most of the people who are sitting here are interested how you see the way for implementation of this project in different countries. I mean, what is your further steps? You mentioned that you will translate to the different languages. So I would like to understand more clearly how are you going to implement this in different countries?
Yeah, sure. This is an obvious question. Yeah. Obviously, we had to start somewhere, and we have to progress towards, a dissemination of the project. And so the first step was to accomplish the protocol in English, which is the easiest way to go. And then for the different protocols, we will have the version in English, and we also will have the translation. For this, you will be able to contact Siop Europe, and the project will be offered to the countries through different systems, but obviously this will take some time, because the translation will be obviously one translation for each country, so there will be the possibility, we envisage this, but our presentation is just to say we have finished this protocol, we are finished this additional protocol, then this will be ready to be translated and to be disseminated further. So this is a project at the beginning limited to Europe, obviously, but I think that the ALIC protocol is beyond that. So we think that this will be possible in the future.
Okay, thank you.
And some of the questions coming to the system were exactly in this direction. There is another question beyond, obviously, the congratulations and the compliments for this. Is there going to be an app or just a website? At the present time, we have the digital tool is the website, then we have the paper boards, but the app is in the project. Obviously, this is in an additional piece of complication, because it seems easy. That for me, that video clip was relatively easy to see, but not to produce. And so I understood that the timelines for producing this are not, the time of a lumbar puncture is much more longer as a time needed. But I think that there will be obviously the possibility to have an app in the future, as well as another question coming is, do you have also a part of for the adolescents, because adolescents are a different, let's say, population. Maybe I can ask Gil, how did you cope with this, with the adolescents versus children?
Okay, in Israel, from our experience, usually the young children are together with the parents, or as you see in the presentation, they sit together and we explain both of them, and when they go home, so they look at the map together and they clarify to the child again whatever was said in the office, in the clinic before. With adolescents, sometimes you sit with them alone, and of course the language is different. You talk with them like equals, and the tool is there, but the language I use when talking about it or when talking around it is different. It's like Lisa said, we are looking at the eyes of each other, and we are explaining each procedure, each phase, the consequences of each phase, what they can expect regarding side effects and things like this, in a much more detailed and straight way than you would have talked with a little child.
You want to add anything? Well, another question is, do you plan to have also in the journey of the patient the indication of how to cope with the different complications, for example, vomiting, headache, fever? There is a part dedicated to this as well. We did not get into many details because enter the details means that we are, unifying all the procedures everywhere, and this cannot be done because the situation in each country, in each center, is different. So there will be a tiny part dedicated to that, but not entering too many details. I just want to ask Julia. You said about the, what is the part of the project that you think is more important for the relation between nurses and parents and children?
Well, I think all the parts are important, because if they are following the schedule and they need to come back to you and ask, maybe tomorrow are going to have a bone marrow evaluation. What do I have to do tomorrow? So together we can talk about that, no? If it's going to be the next morning. But there's also another important part that we talked when we were working on this was about the medications when they were going back home also. That, as Soar explained, that sometimes you get a lot of information, all the medication you have to take at home when you go back, and you're not sure when do I have to take it, how do I have to take it. So I think there are some also easy instructions and forms that can help you at home, even if you always have the possibility to call back to your nurses, doctors, and so on. But I think that is very useful also.
Yeah, because the nurses are the front office for the patient. Where they ask all the questions to the nurses. So having this as a tool, I think, is very important for the doctors, maybe less frequently. But I think that the nurses is a tool that will help very much.
Yeah, I think it will be very used for nurses.
There are still a couple of questions, then we have to close the session. Is this can be translated locally? I think that we have to consider this as a project which is in some way patented, and we will provide the translation. So made locally in different countries, obviously no one can avoid that, but cannot be, let's say, officially done, but this will be spread. This is not the interest of, to take the project in the drawer. The project has been done to be disseminated. So this will be made available to the highest number of countries possible. There is a question.
Chris Howell, UK leukemia survivor and now leukemia physician. I guess you could say I recognise the need of the patient to understand what has happened to them. This is a fantastic project. It seems to me that it needs to be integrated, production of these things for all our patients, solid tumours, brain tumours, leukemias, at the planning stage of every protocol. Do you envisage this becoming something that is part of paediatric oncology in the future?
This is a very important comment. Thanks a lot for that. And I think that this is next. Obviously, we had to start somewhere from, and ALL with this project was, let's say, the sprinkle that could, ignite the fire. I think that this is needed. This is needed not only for leukemia, but is needed for any additional. The advantage of leukemia is that very often the protocols are very homogeneous. For some tumors, maybe sometimes they are so different. So we could have 3 protocols covering exceptionally the whole Europe and beyond. For the solid tumors, I think that this is feasible, it's doable, but will take some time and efforts and the decision on what privilege or not in the progress. But you are perfectly right. The improvement of visual communication is needed everywhere because we live, now everyone in the room was controlling the emails, was looking at the newspapers, and will also look at the screen. So we are getting multitasking, so our children, our adolescents are super multitasking. So they will be able to cope with this. Cancer is unifying this need, and I think that this will come. I don't know when, but I can tell you that as Siop Europe, we are proud to have brought further this project, but we hope that this will be enlarged to other diseases. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please, in the middle.
Thank you very much for really brilliant presentations. I'm Joseph Suada. I am working in field of humanitarian, but also clinical guidelines development, and I am a member of WHO's executive board. So I would like to congratulate what you have achieved, and this is brilliant to see the patients and the parents on one side. What I would like to know is regarding translation of the knowledge. We know that this is something what we have neglected for a couple of years because as a doctors or healthcare professionals, we never had enough time to do it. So this partnership is really valuable. Regarding contextualization of plain language recommendations, so it means the translation of the evidence from the protocols for understanding of parents. Are you planning to conduct the research, or did you already provide at least qualitative research of understanding, meaning different populations? Because it was meant that there will be translation only in one language for one country. So, and we know that there are more ethnic groups with different behavioral understanding and also cultural insights. So
there is always
can you comment on this?
There is always something that can be done. The example probably in Israel is typical. I will let Gil respond on that. But obviously, again, the system, the project, the way of acting in this direction, the translation, will be done all together with the parents, will provide the suggestions and also controls on what are the local needs. There are so many parents associations in different countries that will help us to go in the right direction. And the NAFOS, the National Pediatric Hematology Oncology Societies, will have the control of the quality of the translation. So let's say that from this point of view, we are on the safe side that this will answer the right questions. I think that this will be done. We will in some way ask the NAFOS and the local parents associations what are the real needs locally, and we will try to cope with them. But maybe the example from Israel and
as you know, in Israel, the majority are speaking Hebrew, but we have around 17% Israeli Arabs, and we didn't start the project, we didn't start spreading the maps, the protocol maps in Hebrew, before we had also made a version in Arabic to be available to all of our Arab-speaking patients and their families. So only after we have both version, Hebrew and Arabic, and the Arabic one was done together with professionals in our hospitals and together with parents. Everyone gave his own point of view. And after we finalized the Arabic version, we went public. We start spreading the map in the hospital between our patients, and it was very helpful both to the Hebrew-speaking and to the Arabic-speaking patients and families. And of course, as Carmelo said, we want everyone to benefit from this idea, and not we don't want it to be restricted only to those who speak a certain language.
Last questions there, please.
Thank you. My name is Alvaro Morales from El Salvador. I work as a psychologist in Fundación Ayúdame a Vivir. I just want to give a comment and a question. My comment is that it's so important to bring other professionals and other industries into pediatric cancer care, as I had never heard about this type of communication, graphic communication, visual communication, sorry. And I think this is very important that other professionals come and help us, because this is not only about the medical part. This is also social and psychological. And my question is, with the patients and families that you work with and you expose them to this project, have you seen, and how do you see them in general? Like, do they seem better in general? Do they seem more nervous? Or have you ever had the contrary effect? Have they ever felt anxious seeing this map and looking at it and saying, oh, it's too long, it's a long way?
Yeah. Now, I think that we can have two answers. One from Lisa, who is the professional as you are in the field, and maybe she can envisage what could be the reaction. And the one of the people who have already applied So, Lisa, maybe you can give an opinion on that. What do you expect? An improvement or not?
Well, I would say I would definitely expect an improvement. We're pretty clear about that. But of course, the question is, what are we talking about the improvement? Because I'm pretty sure we all know that just because we're communicating well, there's still distress, and there's still anxiety, and there's still feeling pain, and yes, so this is but we have to be aware of healthcare professionals that this is normal to the situation, but giving it a language and giving it a possibility to talk about, we can face all these issues, and we can offer the strategies to cope with the situation, because otherwise, if we don't talk about it, we all also know that still there is anxiety and still there is the stress, but it would be covered. So it's a possibility of talking about what it's about and offering the right care for it.
Okay, so I'm behind everything Lisa has said. It gives a lot of confidence, and the confidence gives the families a lot of calm. And the only stressful event that I experienced with the maps is of one or two parents. They couldn't find the map at home. So they was very stressful about it. And the next day they came to the clinic. They said, okay, now I'm going to take 4 or 5. So it will never happen again that I don't know where I am.
One more thing, it gives rationality. This project, this map gives rationality, so actually anxiety come down, which is very important.
I think that we ran out of time. I think that the audience, so numerous today, this morning, has shown the interest for this topic, for improving the communication between professionals and the parents and patients. Here in the floor, there are parents, patients, probably there are also many physicians, psychologists, nurses. This is the pediatric oncology community. This gathers when the needs are, improving the communication, because we care about that. So let me thank, finally, as the good chairman says at the end of each session, the thanks for, the protagonists of this, the CCI Europe, the parents, the professionals of the different protocols, the nurses, the psychologists, the social workers, Zohar and Gil, who have given a great contribution. And I would say, I would finish with a comment coming from the floor. Such an inspiring story. Thank you very much.